Okay, so we've been doing blocking, which is always the first step in a performance. And for me, the blocking process, and I shared this with the cast before we got started, is a very collaborative, organic process. As a director, I'm sitting out and I can see what's going on the stage, and so I have some ideas about where I want people to be and how I want them to place entrances, exits, crosses, all that kind of stuff. But as an actor, they have a unique position because they're in the character, they're feeling the movement, and they can say to me, that doesn't feel right. And I can say, well, it looked good, but if it doesn't feel right, we have to change it because it has to work on both ends. It has to look good, it has to work for the character. So that's sort of how I think about blocking. There are challenges to blocking, especially this play, because it's very fast-paced. There's a lot of doors, there's a lot of quick entrance and exits and timing involved, and so you really have to think about that. But it's also fun, and the cast is fantastic. They all just naturally have a feel for where they should be going, what they should be doing. Half the time, I'm getting ready to tell them to do a certain cross or go a certain way, and they do it before I even tell them. And I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I wanted you to do. So it's been probably one of the easiest blocking experiences I have ever had.
Being a stage manager is all new to me. I have to do a lot of writing, I have to write down everything each character does for their crossing overs, for their props, what they need to pick up, where they need to be on stage. So I'm writing all of that down for each individual character. It's time-consuming and difficult on your hand, but it's really fun because then you know what everyone is going to be doing all the time.
Well, blocking helps me memorize my lines because when I'm going through them in my head, I'm picturing where I should be, and I tend to try not to memorize my lines until I have my blocking. When my husband was alive and we were in the show together, we used to rearrange our living room so that it was just the way the set was, so we could rehearse and do our blocking correctly.
Well, I mean, nobody really, I guess, likes blocking. You have to stand there and write down every little thing, and if you put it in the wrong spot, the director might have an issue. I think the only thing on this show that's making it a problem is we're actually using a public school building, and it's summertime. So you may notice in some of the clips that are going to be used that we're all sweating because the air hasn't actually been turned on in this building yet. For another, 2 or 3 weeks, school starts, the air comes on in the building. So we're actually on a stage rehearsing, running our blocking, and the only thing going is some fans that you'll see on the side of the screen.
I think blocking is one of the harder parts of rehearsal. It's just difficult to hold your book and a pencil, write down what you're supposed to do, make your body do it, and then maybe even have to pick up a prop at the same time and do it. So it gets kind of frustrating. But at the same time, in this particular play, blocking is a ball because I'm seeing all these younger actors and actresses do all sorts of funny things with their bodies because they can. So that part of the blocking is really good fun.
Blocking in my way is I'm really happy to not be Roz or Paul because it just feels like they're running back and forth. And luckily for me, all I have to do is come in, say my lines, and hopefully not run into anybody if I'm backing up and checking on certain people who are unconscious, George. But I'm enjoying it. It's great. I just have to look out for myself and have great peripheral vision. I'm feeling it's going great.
So the blocking process isn't exactly my favorite usually because we've got books, we've got pencils, we're trying to write everything down as we're doing all the actions. But it's been enjoyable with this cast because we all have a really good time working together, and there were some cast members that were absent tonight, so I got to be their parts. And I really enjoyed the physical comedy, so I got to play Howard and got to be picked up and moved around, and that was kind of fun, and I enjoyed that. The most frustrating part about blocking is that we're not off book yet, so we can't build on our characters and do even more funny bits like the physical comedy. So it's more a matter of me being impatient and wanting to get to that part, but the only way you get to that part is by memorizing your lines and going through rehearsal and doing this part. So it's necessary, but it's not very enjoyable.
Well, blocking is a necessary evil. It's frustrating, but you got to know where you got to go. And you get flustered because there's a book in your hand and you can't do what is called for. I'm not really fond of it, but as I said, it's a necessary evil because we have to know where we're going.
Been working on blocking, which, as a director, I always dread. But as an actor, it's not so bad. We have a really good cast, and they've been very attentive and have gone through blocking while also preparing their character to a degree, which makes it a little bit more interesting than just I walk here, you walk there, I walk here, you walk there. So it hasn't been bad. It hasn't been bad at all, and hopefully everyone stays